Hello, I'm Waterstones Children's Laureate Joseph Coelho, and I love poetry, and I think you can love poetry too. Today, we are in the wonderful Natural History Museum in London in their Investigate Centre, and I'm joined by science educator Anna Robson. Hi, Anna.
Hi, so nice to meet you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all these wonderful objects that we've got here today. So on the table, we've got an assortment of objects. We've got a pine cone, a shark's jaw, we've got some stuffed animals, and some lovely insects, which we'll be showing you in a moment. We're going to create a little riddle for one of these objects. A riddle is basically a little word game where we describe a thing without saying exactly what it is. We give just enough information for the person listening to work out what it is. Before we can create our riddles, we need to find out a little more about these objects. And Anna here's going to give us some facts about some of these objects. So Anna, what can you tell us about what we have on the table here?
Wow, we've got a big array of things here. Maybe if we start with the fox cub.
Okay.
So really soft. Something that's very interesting about fox cubs, when they're actually born without the ability to see or walk.
Oh.
So the mothers have to care for the fox cubs for about 2 months while they gain that ability. And foxes, they've got incredible senses. So their sense of hearing, they're able to hear little rodents scurrying underground. Because they're nocturnal, which means they're usually active at night, they've got their ability to see in the dark. We've also got the pheasant here. Again, the feathers of a pheasant are so soft, and they've got
really soft,
really nice colours. This helps them to camouflage. They can fly quite fast, but only over short distances, so they usually like to run. And then here, one of my favourites. So this is actually the wing of a macaw. That's an animal that's part of the parrot family. It's the biggest parrot species. They opened up, their wings can get to about 5 feet, which is nearly as tall as me, and I'm quite tall. This one's got these beautiful kind of bluey purpley feathers. But the colours of the macaw depends on where they live. So they can be red, yellow, turquoise. It all depends on the environment they live in. So often they're found in the Amazon rainforest, where they blend in nicely to all the multicoloured plants. And something I love about macaws, they can live, they've been known to live to up to 100 years, but they mate for life. So once they've fallen in love, they bring up their babies, they fly together and they groom each other, which I think is very romantic.
Yeah.
The shark jaw, again, we love sharks here at the museum. And this shark jaw, I mean, it's so interesting. To start with, the shark skeletons aren't made of what our skeletons are made from, bone. They're actually made of something called cartilage.
Okay.
So we have that at the end of our nose and at the tops of our ears. It's much more flexible, so they can swim much quicker and quieter. But the best thing about their jaws, or these types of sharks, if I turn it over, they've got row upon row of teeth, because often they're really messy. So that they go like that, they break their teeth. So then another row comes up to replace it.
So then you go to the dentist.
Yeah, exactly. The pine cone. This is one of the biggest pine cones. It's from a Mexican white pine.
Oh yeah.
Now, what I like to think of pines, they're like, whereas some trees have fruit, like apples that have seeds, the pine cone is from different types of trees and the seeds are inside. Usually the pine cone starts off with all of its scales kind of fixed up, but when it gets dry, they open up and the seeds can then be dispersed by the wind. So this one...
They're like little wings.
Yeah. Now, this is an incredible bird. The clue is kind of in the name for the type of food that it eats. It's a kingfisher because it's really good at hunting fish. So there's one species that's native to the UK, and if you were to spot it, you'd see it probably perched on a little piece of tree looking over a river, ready to dive in, uses this dagger-like bill to skewer insects or not insects, fish or insects like dragonflies. And it's got a really small tail that allows it to quickly turn around underwater. And you can, the colours again, beautiful blue feathers and kind of coppery orange on the underside.
Oh yeah, you can see that there.
Yes.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah. Some of our insects.
Wow.
Things. Now, sometimes I feel like insects are a bit underrated, but they're so interesting, especially because unlike lots of other animals, lots of insects go through these very distinct life changes. So we've got here some examples of those life changes. So this is a moth. You can see we think of butterflies and moths when they're adults to have really nice patterns, but even the caterpillars can have lovely patterns as well. Even the small little circles there.
See little dots and
yeah,
almost like a diamond shape on its back there.
So moths and butterflies, different types of animals, but they have very similar life cycles. So they both start off as little eggs, usually on a leaf. The egg then hatches to a caterpillar. The caterpillar then will munch away for about 30 days before it finds a tree to become a pupa or a chrysalis. So this is showing the chrysalis. It kind of hangs off the tree. The caterpillar then waits in the chrysalis before it becomes a butterfly or a moth. And here, some species of caterpillar and butterfly also spin a cocoon around their chrysalis.
Oh, wow.
This cocoon is really special because it's made of silk. So it's from a silk moth or silk caterpillar. And it only takes them about 3 days to make this fully.
Oh, gosh.
And it's just one continuous thread of silk. And silk is used to make lots of things. It's a very impressive material. It's meant to be tougher than steel weight if you compared the two with the same amount of weight. So it's been used to make parachutes, to make tires in bikes, lots of clothing and things like that. So a very versatile material that's come from insects. So insects are super, super cool.
Thanks, Anna. That was fantastic. I learned so much about all these different objects here. Now, if you want to go back and re-watch some of the facts that Anna gave us there and make notes, then you can do that. You can even draw a picture of one of these chosen objects to create your own riddle. I've already done that. I chose one of these objects here and I created a riddle using some of the things that Anna has told me about one of the objects on the table. And I'm wondering whether you can guess which object I chose. Here's the riddle that I came up with. Listen very carefully. There are some clues in this riddle. It goes like this. Up in the sky, feeling the breeze, the needles of my tree rustle around me. I start off closed tight, but bit by bit, I open my 1,000 wings. I spread my many petals and crash to the ground. Can you guess what object I was talking about? I was, of course, talking about the pine cone. And I think I managed to get some of the facts that you mentioned, Anna.
Yeah, you did. Loved it. It was brilliant.
Now, I purposely put some things in there to make the riddle harder. I spoke about the petals being wings, hoping it might make you listening think I was talking about the bird's feathers, so maybe confusing you slightly. But did you notice how I didn't once use the word pine cone? If I had done, it would have been a really massive spoiler, and we don't want that for a riddle, do we? We don't want any spoilers for our riddles. So I'm going to show the objects again, and you can pause the screen. So all the objects will be available for you to see. Some of the objects will then, as well, also scroll through. So if there's one object that you want to focus on as a class, you can pause the screen there as well. Now make sure you get a good look at your chosen object. And remember, don't tell anyone which object you have chosen. Remember to write just enough to help whoever reads or hears your riddle to guess. But don't give too much away. When writing riddles, you need to be subtle. So how did you do? Did you manage to include any hints to the facts that Anna mentioned? I reckon they did a brilliant job.
I think you would have done an amazing job.
Well, you did so many fantastic facts there. Like, it'd be really interesting to know how you guys did. Hopefully you'll be sharing your riddles in class or at home. What was that? Oh, I know. It's the poetry power-up sound, which means it's time for an extra challenge for your poems. A riddle is not complete until you have read it to someone. I would like you to read your riddle to at least 3 different people. If every person you read your riddle to gets it straight away, have a look at changing your riddle to make it a bit harder. Maybe you can delete some parts or try describing the object in a different way, like the way I referred to the pine cone's petals as wings, using your facts as well. Thinking about them opening up like that, I thought that was really good. And if no one gets your riddle the first time round, or the second time round, or the third time round, then maybe it's too hard and you could try adding a few more hints just to make it a tiny bit easier. But not too much, because riddle's supposed to be a little bit difficult.
We want a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, it's a bit of a challenge. So good luck with your riddle writing and happy riddling.